Hi, this is Jerry, and today I'm sharing a card I made for my sweet little great niece. My niece just had a baby, and I wanted to put together a card for her real quick. And I started out by using a digital stamp by A Day for Daisies, and I will link her shop in the description below so that you can go check out all of her great images. She's also extremely generous and offers a lot of freebies, which is always nice. So I started out by printing this on a piece of regular printer paper just so I could position my watercolor paper because I wanted to do a really soft feminine watercolor on this card. And typically I wouldn't suggest that you use a printer for watercolor. You have to be extremely careful so that you don't get it too wet or it will smear. But I have a lot of digital images, so sometimes I do use those for watercolor. So I heat set it once I printed it on my watercolor paper just to help keep it from smearing. And then if you could let it sit overnight, it would probably help as well. And then the next thing I did was just put this down onto a board. I just have a really cheap clipboard that I use, and I taped that down with some painter's tape. And then I wet my paper down with just a little spray bottle and went to work coloring this with my Koi watercolor set. I have a little, I think it's like a little travel set by Sakura Koi, I think that's how you say it. And I really like it. So I started just applying some colors on my paper. And I made sure and wet that paper down, like I said, just to get those watercolors moving. And ideally, I would have used a larger brush for this, but I couldn't find my larger brush. I'm not sure what I've done with it. I guess I'm going to have to buy another one. So I just used one that I had. And I just started sort of placing the color around on the card. And I tried to be really careful around the bunnies so that I didn't smear any of the black. And then I get all of the color. I try to do like, pink in like 3 different areas, and then the brownish color in 3 different areas. And then here I'm just putting a little extra water on there to get it to move around and to get those colors to blend so that they just look a little more, I don't know, blended on there. And then I'm going to set that with my heat tool once I get that looking the way I think it should look. I'll get this dried with my heat tool, and I dry it pretty well because I'm getting ready to color the bunnies. And it looks like I have lost some of the whiskers detail on those bunnies as well, so I'll have to go in and fill those in later. So I'm going to use for the bunnies a distress marker by Tim Holtz in the color Pumice Stone. It's just a really light gray color, and I wanted it just to look sort of like shadows. So I wanted the darkest color for the bunnies down near their little tails. So I color them all in first with just a little bit of the marker, and then taking my water, I sort of spread that color all around, and then I use a paper towel to dab on it to lift some of that color away because I wanted the heads and ears to be a little lighter. And then what I did is I went back in with the marker and added more color down toward the rear ends of those little bunnies so that it would be darker there. And then I'm going to take a little pink and add the pink to the ear on that little bunny there. And then taking the same color, I made a little, like a shadow at the bottom and spread that out with my water. And then heat set that. And I wanted this card to be just very plain and simple, and just really soft in colors. So I go ahead and take my tape off of the card so that I can continue to make it. And I get out my little MISTI tool here, and I'm using a digital, I'm sorry, it's not a digital stamp, it's a rubber stamp, obviously. I'm using a rubber stamp that is made from Technique Junkies, and that is a card company or a stamp company that I used to be on the design team for. And I have this cute stamp here that says, "I will always love you forever and a day." And I thought that would be so sweet. And so I get that lined up in my MISTI the way where I want it on my card. And I go ahead and stamp that down. And then I cut my card down. I think it's 5.5 by 5 is what I ended up cutting this card down to. And I mounted it on a piece of like a dark teal color cardstock. And then here you can see I'm adding in those detail, the detail of the whiskers back again with the Copic multi-liner pen. And I decided it needed a little bit of something, so I found these little metallic heart gems, and I think they're actually something that came with my I have a little heat tool that you use to put gemstones down with. I think it is a not really sure. It's like an IROC tool maybe. And but I actually was being lazy, and I just used the Gina K Connect to attach those to the card. And that's a really, really great adhesive, so I knew they would stick with that. And I placed those on there with my jewel picker that I have. And then I decided to get some craft foam and cut that down to just slightly smaller than the card front that I had made. And I attached that with my glue runner there. But just so you know, I do go back and I end up reattaching that with the Gina K Connect. It didn't act like it was going to stick very well, and I used the Gina K Connect on that in the end, but you don't see that in this video. And that pretty much finishes up the card. I mounted it on a card base. And then I sprayed this card all over with some Heidi Swapp Color Shine in white. It gave it a beautiful shimmer. I hope you enjoyed my card today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more, please click on the subscribe button. Thanks and have a wonderful day.